Thomas, good morning.
Morning.
Can we start with team news? Who's fit, who isn't?
Yeah. Let me think. From the last squad, I think the only doubt is Christian Urquhart, where we'll assess him and take a decision as late as possible to see if he's ready or not.
I mean, will you actually give him to like an hour and a half before the game?
No, we will know before. We'll take a decision later today.
How much of a blow would it be if you didn't have him?
Of course, he's a key player. Christian is, I think one of our most important players, and I think he's been one of the best midfielders in the last 2 years in Championship. But we've done well if he hasn't played. We also managed to beat Bournemouth's second leg, so we have other players that have stepped up and performed this year. So, of course, I would like him to play, but there's other players that can step up.
How big is tomorrow for you?
Relatively big. Nah, we are excited. Honestly, I was thinking about it when I was driving home yesterday. Just driving home from training ground, and the atmosphere was calm, relaxed, focused. Of course, you sense there's this little bit extra focus, so I don't have to say, "Hey, I'm actually speaking. Please be quiet now." So there's just there's that good focused. With the understanding of that we are facing a Swansea team that have done a fantastic season. We played them twice, 2-time, 1-1 draw with Steve Cooper, that I think is one of the most talented English managers in this country, and his experienced coaching staff that's done very well the last 2 seasons actually just performed even better. So it's going to be an unbelievable tight game with decided on the finest margins, but we are looking forward to it, and we are willing to give everything, and we will give it a big go.
None of the 11 who played last season are still with you. I know they're not all going to play this time. Is that a plus or a minus?
That we have a lot from last year. I think it's a plus. How big a plus? You don't really know. Of course, that experience from being there last year will help in a way, but it's not like, okay, then we're just 20% better. No, but it's maybe some decisive moments. Maybe it's that intuitive feeling in your body when you enter Wembley Stadium, when you start the game, when the ups and downs. Maybe that can help.
A couple of questions I asked you a year ago. First of all, a year ago I was talking about Ollie Watkins inside Benrahma, saying if you don't get promoted, then you'll probably leave to go to the Premier League, which is what happened. I could say the same about half a dozen of your team that probably do start against Swansea. Is that another motivating factor? The fact you want to keep the squad together, you're probably going to have to go up?
Honestly, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm only thinking about preparing for the game and do our very best and to try to win it. And then we'll see what's happening after.
And another one, what were your final words being when the team go out? I asked you whether you had some sort of Churchillian speech ready from last year. What will you say differently this time?
Honestly, I don't know. I've been thinking about things, but I haven't nailed it in my head yet. As I've said before, I think before these games, of course, this is a bigger game. So in a normal game, sometimes I'm thinking maybe I just shouldn't say nothing. I shouldn't say anything because they are professional footballers. They've trained their whole life to play games like this, so they will be ready. But of course, we will try to play on the final emotion bit for the players. But it's also very important that we keep a cool head. So it's that fine balance we need to find. But we'll be ready tomorrow. I'm not in doubt.
Your styles of play are very different. Swansea, very hard to break down. Maybe not so in terms of going forward, quite so expansive. You're the other way. I mean, you're hard to break down, but boy, your team love to get forward. What sort of game do you think we'll see?
Good question. One thing for sure, it'll be tight. It'll be a very, very tight game. You just see the last 2 results we have played against them. Swansea is a team that is extremely good at defending, and they are also, I think, actually they have a bit of a bite going forward as well. So we know they want to also dominate on the ball in spells of the game. So I think difficult to predict. I just predict a very, very tight game.
Tight in terms of we might go to penalties, in which case you saw the other night goalkeepers have to take them, as everybody practice penalties.
Let me put it this way. I don't know if it's good or bad. I watch a final where they go to the penalties and all 11 are taking it. And you're going into a final where it also could be on penalties. But anyway, we are prepared, also for every player in the squad.
So David Ray has picked his spot.
I don't know if he picked his spot, but he trained it.
Okay. Last one from me. Big difference, the huge difference this year to last year is that where last year you played in an empty stadium and it felt like every game has felt really behind closed doors. This time round, although the crowd may not be as big as you would have wanted or would have liked, there will be a crowd there. You will be cheered on by 5,000 Brentford fans. What can they bring? How can they help you?
I think you saw it in the game against Bournemouth, how much they can help us. And I know it was special because only our fans here in our stadium, but that they had a massive impact on the result, 100%. So again, it's going to be a tight game. It's going to be down to the finest margins. So we need the fans behind us. We need them to cheer us on throughout the game, even if we are behind, even if we are in front, even if it's not going the way we need it, because this game will take twists and turns until the end. So we definitely need them.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thomas, good morning to you.
Morning, Billy.
Yesterday Henrik talked about how last season maybe there was a bit of fear going into the game against Fulham, and that this time round it's not about playing with any fear, it's just going out about smiling and enjoying being a professional footballer in a fantastic occasion. How, as a coaching group, do you maintain that? How do you try and just play down any sort of concerns that the squad may have about the importance of the game?
I think first we need to acknowledge that there will be nerves, that, of course. We will all be a tiny bit more tense, but it's a good thing. I think it's also you raise your, arousal levels and, your awareness, and you're going into combat mode. And I think that's good. I think for me, it's very important that we do everything we can to be brave and make sure that when we look back, that we are not regretting anything, either that it was a 1v1 that we should have taken the play on, or try to play forward, or make sure we took that recovery run with everything we got. I think it's about that. And then if we perform well, put a big performance out there, then we can't do more. Then it's down to the fine margins and a little bit help from the football gods in the end. So we need to do the basics first, put a good performance out there, and let's see what happens then.
And you hit the playoffs with momentum because of the unbeaten run. Obviously, what happened in Bournemouth going 2-0 up and then to come from behind and actually win the tie here at the Brentford Community Stadium. Does that sort of last 60 odd minutes of the tie, the semi-final, give you momentum going in to the final? That sort of energy that sort of poured out from the pitch in that sort of second leg.
It should definitely give us some confidence and some belief going into the final, and we will go in with confidence and belief, but very, very, very aware of the strength and of Swansea and the big task ahead of us, because you could say that the Bournemouth game where the first semi-final, everyone was talking about that we came with momentum, and it was a tight game that Bournemouth won 1-0. So we will be on the day. We need to turn up on the day and hit the good performance. It's all about that. But of course, going into that game, it's easier to go in with confidence, and we know we have had a good season. I'm pretty sure that Swansea think they have a good season as well. So I think in general it's going to be a very interesting game.
You've dealt with blows, and you mentioned Christian Norgard, and people focus on some of the players that have missed out. Henrik's come back, but obviously Rico has had his injury. Every time you've lost players, people have stepped up this season. We've talked about Vitali Janov earlier in the campaign about how he slipped into that role because Christian fell out. Is that just because of the culture that you have within the group, as well as the recruitment of the players that you come in, that if someone has to slot in, that everyone else makes them part of the 11?
I think it's a bit of different things. I think it's part of, we have a very good recruitment department, but that recruitment department need to be aligned with the style of play and need to be aligned with the way we describe the specific role, need to be aligned with Matthew and the 2 sports directors, and all that makes it easier for the player that we recruited, like Janelt, to step in Christian's role, because we thought that he fit the bill the way we want to play, the way I want to play. So it's easier to step in, but it's not easy, of course. And then I think this group of players are extremely good, and the culture we have with big togetherness, I think is massive. So people do everything they can to support each other. So it's easier for players that haven't played that much to step in and play.
Do the previous games against Swansea this season, and even the semi-finals 2 legs last season, have any relevance to this game at Wembley?
I think the only thing is that Steve Cooper and their coaching staff and me and my coaching staff, we know the teams very well. So it could be a game where we are cancelling each other out. It could be. Let's see. Yeah.
And you are a student of the game. You talk about development of players, but coaching development as well. And we've talked about how everyone learns on the learning process. What was it that you learned from last year with the run and then with the final, and what happened in the final, that you, as a coach, as a head coach, have been able to apply this season?
I can't nail a specific point where I say, okay, I learned that, or the preparation needs to be different, or I think we've done more or less the same this year in terms of preparation. Maybe small, tiny tweak, and then this intuitive experience of we've been there. Maybe that can help in the moment. Maybe think a bit quicker. Maybe those bits can maybe help, but we will not change a lot. Very few bits.
I was asked a question about Brentford and what's happened in previous playoffs. I'm not going to go over that, because we all know the history. But the question was asked that sometimes, the Middlesbrough experience a few years ago, Fulham last year, came up against teams that have had recent Premier League experience, and do those clubs have a sort of swagger about them because they've been in the top flight of late? Brentford haven't been in the top flight for quite a long time, as we know, and yet the surroundings, everything that you do, the way the club behaves, the way the club has now developed its ground, has a feel of top flight football. Do you think that helps, within the premise of confident yet humble, which I know obviously is important to you, but within that there is a feeling that this club is prime and ready for the step?
I definitely believe in, and we believe in, that the work we put in every single day with the clear strategy, clear structure, everything aligned, over time will give us success no matter what will happen. So that's my feeling, and I think we talked about it. I've said it before. I think it's an extraordinary achievement we have done this year. We all know that if we win tomorrow, everyone know the headlines of the newspapers, and we also know the headlines of the newspaper if we lose, and both things can happen. So we need to go in with that open-minded, but of course believe and think we can do and win. But lose last year, come back with the shortest turnaround, selling the 2 best players potentially in the league, breaking the transfer record twice from the championship, is remarkable. And then we actually went through to the final, which is very difficult against a good Bournemouth side. So we are a success. It's just depending on how big a success we are, because we know it's black and white in football, but the way we do things, we are a success. And I think that will take us to reach our goal eventually, one way or another.
Good luck tomorrow. See you then.
Thank you very much.
So, rest of the broadcast now. Chris, do you want to go first?
This is Chris from BBC London TV.
Hi, Chris.
Obviously, Brentford have this really unfortunate record of having lost all 9 of their playoff appearances. in English we have an expression that to have that level of bad luck, you must have walked under a ladder. Is there a similar expression in Danish?
Yeah, similar. I can't, even if I said it, it would be difficult to translate. But I understand what you mean.
Is it something that plays on the mind? Certainly, I know some of those are from generations gone by, but from this recent crop of players, and certainly what happened last year, how hard is it to get that negativity out of the mindset?
Good question. I'm not superstitious at all. Of course, I know how the human mind works, and of course, it's you heard stories about a black cat and the ladder and all that. And if you do it, then it comes into your mind and you think, oh, what should I do? And then keep going. So I understand why people think like that.